Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Steve sent me a story out of Massachusetts, and it involves car sales. And he said, check this out. It involves something you often say on your channel. So this is in Swansea. More victims come forward in dealership scheme. An Attleboro man accused of selling vehicles he did not own to unsuspecting customers at his used car dealership in Swansea is facing additional charges after more victims came forward, according to the Bristol County District Attorney. The man was taken into custody last October after an investigation revealed that he defrauded at least 25 customers who were trying to buy cars from him at Bristol County Auto Exchange. That number has since risen to 47, with the DA noting that the victims range in age from 18 years old to 80 years old. The victims have collectively lost, they believe, $325,000 or more. The man's accused of getting cars on loan from local auctions, but not obtaining the titles. So I'm not sure what it means to get a car on loan from an auction. Are they lending him the car and saying, hey, if you can sell this, you can sell this? In which case it'd be more of a consignment. But it says he then reportedly sold the cars through his dealership with fake or forged license plates affixed to them. That's a problem. They also claim that he promised his victims he would mail the titles and registrations to them, but he never followed through. He would then stop responding to customers' inquiries about the status of those documents. Now, he also apparently never paid off the loans because some of the vehicles had loans on them still, even though he indicated to his customers that he would do that. And that's one of the weird things I've encountered over the years in my practice where I deal with car buyers. And I've had someone tell me that they traded a vehicle in at a car dealership and it had a lien on it from a bank. And they called and found out what the payoff on the loan was. And they said, okay, you're going to trade this car in. We're going to give you this much credit for it. We'll pay the lien off and we'll resell the car. And I've heard from somebody who said a couple months later, the bank is going, hey, why'd you stop paying on your car? And the person goes, well, I traded it in. They said, we have no record of that. No record of that. Sorry. You got to keep making those payments or your credit will get dinged. And then you contact the dealer, and of course, then you get a whole earload of excuses. So he also is said to have provided some customers with bad refund checks for cars that were returned due to mechanical or safety issues, while others never received their vehicles, despite having already paid for them. In some instances, the DA says that the man took possession of customers' old cars to sell for them, but never paid them for the sale, or claimed the vehicles had gone missing from the lot. If he buys the car from somebody or takes possession of it and part of it, like if they traded it in, if it went missing from his lot, that's his problem. Likewise, if he's going to sell the car for them, like a broker or something, and it goes missing from the lot, that's also on him. Oh, it went missing. He's been charged with 43 counts of larceny under $1,200 by false pretenses. And I'm not sure what that exactly means because some of these cars appear to have cost more than that. And I'm wondering if that has more to do with the fact that he charged them for the license plates that he never got them or the title work he never got them. But also 2 counts of larceny by check over $1,200, 37 counts of forging or misusing an RMV document, 38 counts of failing to deliver a title upon a motor vehicle transfer, and 5 counts of larceny of a motor vehicle. So he's been charged, it appears, 5 times for motor vehicles that went missing. Is that what he said? They've gone missing. 5 of those. And then 38 counts of failing to deliver a title. Now, I can't ever give universal statements about the law in all 50 states and, of course, other countries. But I can tell you that in many states, when you go to buy a used car, the dealership will have the title in their hand. And so when you come in, you go, I want to buy that car. We want to sell you that car. You strike a deal. They pull the title out, and quite often the title is in the name of the person they got the car from. They're allowed to do that in many states where the dealership does not have to appear in the chain of title. Someone trades a car in, they get the title, and then they can endorse it over to you. You take the title to wherever it is you get your registration and title from, and you do that, okay? So that should happen. Now, some places, they will take the title and send it in for you. That can happen also. But the point is they have to have the title in their hands. If they do not show you a title, I would argue that you should not buy that car. Because someone showing you a car and saying, I can sell you this car, and you go, can you show me the certificate of title? Whatever their reason is for not being able to show it to you, they need to resolve so they can show it to you. Because here we've got, I don't know, a couple dozen people who appear to have paid for vehicles and titles never showed up. And the key here is that they can only sell you the car if they have the title. And the title's got to be in the proper form in the sense that someone signed the car over to them, or they've signed off on it and given them the car and the title in the states where that's allowed. And then, of course, when you buy the car, they fill the information out for you, and that would get you your title. So if you're at a dealership and they're going to sell you this car, and you go, where's the title? They go, we haven't got it. You've got to actually get up and walk out. Unless they say, we'll have it tomorrow. In which case you get up and walk out and come back tomorrow. And I mean, I can give you so many examples, but the one I'm going to give you right now is from the TV show American Pickers. American Pickers. Those guys go all over the country looking for stuff, antiques and whatnot. And they occasionally run into people who've got really old cars or really old motorcycles. Those guys love old motorcycles. Pre-World War I motorcycles. And a guy's got some weird old motorcycle. First question, do you have a title? Because if you have a title, it makes things really, really easy. Now, some extremely old vehicles, there might not be a title. And if there's a good reason why something doesn't have a title, which there could be, there are ways to get things titled, and I've talked about that before, where in some states, you may have to post a bond, for instance. But you can then get a title for something, but there, the argument is not that you just don't have the piece of paper. It's that we don't think anybody's got a title to this thing for whatever reason. And so obviously a relatively modern car that was being driven a year ago, there is a title for it. The question is who's got it? The auction that still owns the car has got it? That might be a problem. So I don't know if the auction actually owns the car, but it's a little unclear in that statement that says that he got the cars on loan from local auctions without the titles. There's something unclear about that. So he was recently arraigned and ordered held on $100,000 bail. And the DA argued that the high cash bail set by the court is appropriate considering the man was already on probation for similar charges at the time of his arrest. And the DA says the allegations of fraud involving numerous victims are extremely, extremely disturbing. He has never paid off the loans to the vehicles he sold, and the auction is in the process of repossessing the cars from his victims. So some of these people who bought these cars are now seeing them get towed away because they bought them from somebody who didn't have the right to sell them. And when the people bought the cars and didn't get titles, they should have seen some kind of flags there. So anyone who may have fallen victim to this scheme can contact their local law authorities, and you can get added to this list of people. But as of right now, they say it's at least 25 people, and he's facing a whole host of counts. And I've mentioned before, car dealerships, actual licensed car dealerships, the vast majority of them are run following the law. Now, they might do unscrupulous things, and they might lie to you about, how well this car runs, that kind of thing. But the technicalities of running a dealership are quite complicated. I've actually got some friends who run dealerships, and they have all kinds of record-keeping requirements, and they bring a vehicle in, and if they're brokering the vehicle, it's one thing. If they're buying the vehicle, it's another. They've got a police book where they've got to record all the cars that are on their lot in their inventory. When a car leaves, they've got to take it out of the police book, figuratively speaking. They've got to file all this paperwork. And all I hear from these guys is we spend half our time doing this regulatory stuff when we're trying to sell cars also. And so this guy is a dealership, and states do regulate the dealerships, but in some states they are more lax than others. And so I can tell you, and again, spoken to dealerships many times, that someone from the state can just pop up on their lot and go, "Hi, I'm from the state. I'm here to check your books. Where's your police book?" And now police books used to be actual books, like a big journal. You can now keep them electronically. But let's go back to the days where it was an actual journal, a book. And they say, "Oh, here's our police book." And the first thing the person does is they open up the police book and they count how many cars are in inventory. They then go walk the lot to see how many cars are in inventory. And if those numbers don't match, there's a problem. If there's too few cars in inventory, that means that one or more may have been sold, and the taxes might not have been submitted to the state. And some dealerships don't submit the taxes as soon as they should. That can be a problem. Can be a problem. And of course, if there are too many cars in the police book, that means that cars were brought in and possibly the paperwork wasn't done properly. And so technically speaking, the person from the state could say, "Hey, I show 3 cars here that aren't in your police book. That one, that one, and that one. Show me the titles. Show me the paperwork." And I've heard from dealerships that said someone just showed up one day and started going through the police book with a fine-tooth comb and started going, "Hey, what about this? What about this?" And that's part of the job. And so for all of the people who've spoken to me and said, "Steve, the state is too hyper picky. They drive us crazy with this stuff," I say, yeah, until you see a story like this. Because here's a guy just selling cars, buying cars, not providing titles, not paying off loans. That's a problem. That's a problem. And so I've mentioned before, if you want to, and again, this is for the 2 or 3 people in the audience who like to do trivia, you can go online and find the state of Michigan's Dealer Handbook. The Dealer Handbook. And it's available online for free as a PDF. And you can go read it and see what they're required to do as a dealership. And I've actually had someone come to me and say, "Steve, I want to open a dealership. What do I need to do?" And I said, instead of me explaining it to you, go look at the Dealer Handbook. The person called me back and they go, "This is insane." And I go, "You know something though? Once you get it all in place, it's not. Getting it set up might be difficult. But once it's in place, it's not that crazy." But they try to do that to avoid a situation like this. So it's kind of wild. Very, very rarely do we hear of car dealerships, the principals there, actually being arrested and being held in jail. That is extremely unusual. But then again, they're alleging a whole host of crimes here. So we'll see what happens. And I will say, don't forget that right now, the man's innocent. He's innocent unless and until proven guilty in a court of law. But as of right now, these are merely allegations. You just worry when you see a whole host of them like this and you go, "Ooh, they all look alike, but they're different people who don't know each other." And so it's kind of like where there's smoke, there's fire. Where there's a lot of smoke, there's a lot of fire. So Steve, thanks for sending that from WPRI. Sarah Bowden wrote that. More victims come forward in Swansea dealership scheme. And I'm pretty certain I said Swansea correctly. I looked it up, but with my luck, someone's going to go, "Oh, Steve, technically you got that wrong." I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law.
The most important thing is to look ahead. The past is your anchor.